I want to talk about family troubles. Specifically, I want to talk about family troubles that come because of the gospel. I'm no stranger to family troubles that come because of the gospel. You know, my family growing up has always been very hostile to the gospel. My greater family. My nuclear family has always been very faithful to the message of the Bible. My greater family has always been either openly hostile to the gospel for one reason or another, or they've been of the mindset where we just don't want to rock the boat. We just don't want to shake the waves, and so just don't say anything religious except for religiously neutral stuff, because you don't want to rock the boat. You just want to keep the peace at all costs. You know, we can offend God, but let's not offend our family members. That's been the mentality of my greater family. And if you want to be faithful to the biblical revelation, there's going to be family troubles. There's going to be problems that develop in the family. Jesus said in Matthew 10:32, "Therefore everyone who confesses me before men, I will also confess him before my Father who is in heaven. But whoever denies me before men, I will also deny him before my Father who is in heaven. Do not think that I have come to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I came to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's enemies will be the members of his own household. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he who does not take up his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me." We cannot value family more than we value our faithfulness to God. My apologies for my phone going off. When we have the biblical truth, when we have the message that comes from God, we need to be faithful to that message. No matter what the cost, no matter what the consequence, we need to live faithfully for Jesus. And that may mean that you have problems with your relatives who don't like what you have to say about Christ. And this message came to me from, I was recently inspired by a relative of mine who asked me to compromise the biblical message. He asked me to compromise the truth of the gospel message. He asked me to change the history of the New Testament to try and help some sensibilities in the family. But we can't do that. I can't do that. If someone wants to stop me from preaching Christ, they're really going to have to kill me. Because even if you shut down all my internet access, even if you send me to prison, I'm still going to be going up to, gang members, saying, "Hey, Aryan gang members, you shouldn't hate Jews. Jesus is Jewish." If you put me in jail, I'm still going to be going up to murderers saying, "Hey, murderers, you shouldn't murder people. You should follow Jesus." You can't stop a true follower of Christ. You want to stop someone like me, you're really going to have to put a bullet in my head or something like that. Jesus said he did not come to bring peace but a sword. You don't want to take that to mean that we go around killing people. As Christians, it's not our job to be on the offensive. Jesus said that we should have a sword with us when we go on our missionary journeys. That's why I keep a 92 FS Beretta, and 50 rounds of ammunition ready to go, because I get death threats for my ministry, because I've got a job where I am a security guard. I've got to defend myself. But as Christians, it's not our job to go on the offensive. We might have to defend ourselves. We might have to protect our families. And that's okay. Jesus himself said, bring a sword on your missionary journeys. Bring an extra cloak. Be prepared. Bring some money. The sword Jesus asked for us to bring is for defensive purposes. I carry my pistol for defensive purposes. When Jesus said he came to bring a sword, not peace, he's talking about how people are going to be attacking us for the sake of the gospel, not about how we go out and attack other people. So, it's part of the high price of following Jesus. If you want to follow Jesus, you just have to be prepared to suffer reproach for the sake of being able to follow after Jesus. It's a high price. I don't like having my family against me. The people that are really angry at me right now are some of the family members that I love the most. And the fact that they're so hostile to the message of the gospel, to the message specifically of the Jewishness of the Messiah, the fact that Jesus is Jewish, the fact that Jesus is the Jewish Messiah, the fact that they're so hostile to the message upsets me, because I love them, because I want to see them saved and come to a saving relationship in Christ. And the fact that they are so opposed to the gospel message causes me many sleepless nights, because I don't want to see my family in hell, because I want to see them saved, and I don't want to see them die without Jesus. I don't want to see them die without coming to Jesus. And the fact that my family has so many members who do not know Jesus, it really messes with me. It really bothers me, because I love my family. And so, when we love our family, when we really love our family, we need to be willing to let them hate us if that's what it takes for being able to have the privilege of being able to share Jesus. Because sharing the gospel is a great responsibility, and it's not something that can really be taken lightly. It's something that has to be done with great care. And it's a great responsibility. But when we're faithful to that responsibility, there's going to be problems. When we're faithful to the responsibility of preaching Jesus, when we're faithful to the responsibility of living for God, it's going to mean that there are family members who are opposed to the work of the gospel in our lives. It means that there's going to be family that opposes the work of God that we are faithful to. But Jesus says that if we care more about what people think than what God thinks, then we're not worthy to follow after Christ. We're not worthy to be a part of the gospel. As a Christian, I always have to be more concerned about what God thinks than about what my family thinks. I always have to be more concerned about being faithful to Messiah than to be concerned about what the people I love falsely accuse me of. And that's hard. That's really hard. But it's the price. It's the price of following after God. And if you're thinking about following after Christ, it's hard. It's not easy. But I don't want to be responsible for my own sins. I don't want to have to go to hell. And so it's worth it to follow after Christ. But it's costly. If you want to follow after Christ, go for it. But don't go for it if you're not willing to pay the price. Salvation is free, but it's going to cost you everything. Salvation is earned by the Christ on the cross, which wouldn't have been possible had he not died. But he did die, and he did rise from the dead. I'd encourage you to check out my video on evidence that the resurrection of Jesus is real. It's real, and it's true, and we have good reasons to believe in Christianity. But I don't want you to think that it's easy. If you're thinking about following after Christ, then by all means follow after him. But there's a steep price to pay for our fidelity to God. I hope you have a good day.